划船。
曹操，老夫代表孙家3代来向你转达问候啦！哈哈哈哈哈哈！
黄盖将军已经打开了道路，孙武的众将士们奋勇向前，今天就是剿灭曹操之日！
以前我们总是一路逃窜，这次不一样了。等着吧，曹操，我们来取你的首级了！
Hey everybody, it's Logan, aka Red Devil. But to be honest with you, today, sort of identifying as red hair, because I'm fast as fuck, boy. Trying to get this review out for you. What you're seeing in the background is some footage I recorded today from Liu Bei's campaign. Towards the end, there's a little bit of Blue and Key footage. I have a couple of highlights here to show off the animations and what I think is probably one of the funniest glitches I've ever seen. You'll have to see that in the next clip. Do enjoy. Keep in mind this is a movie maker production, so last time I did one of these, it popped whenever it was transitioning in between clips, and plus the microphone, it sounds really weird when you stop talking and start talking. It just like recognizes that the it's like it doesn't recognize the microphone. That's neither here nor there. You don't give a fuck. I'm trying my best here, people. I have a sticky note here to try and approach these topics. This is going to be a little bit of a rambling video. You know me. You see the length on this son bitch. You see the length on this son bitch. I'm going to try and be as thorough as possible while being as rambly as possible, because that's what we do here at youtube.com/reddevil. First topic is the open world. What do I think of the open world? I think it's very poorly implemented, to be totally honest with you. I've played a lot of the game at this point. The fast travel is good, and I'm glad it's in the game. It's extremely necessary, I'll put it to you that way. It can be a pain in the ass sometimes. It does sort of artificially add length to the game, which already, thankfully, seems to have quite a bit of content. I really like the way that they've approached it with like the objective based system. I don't know if any of you have played Samurai Warriors 3. I haven't, but I've seen gameplay footage, and that's sort of what they had going on in this. It's very Samurai Warrior, not esque, but it reminds me, it puts me in mind. By the way, in this clip, look at all the fucking horses. Look at all the fucking horses. It's crazy. One of the best glitches I've ever seen. I don't know what the fuck is going on. If they're just procreating like rabbits or whatever. You know, who knows? Procreating like fucking genetic super beast horses. I'll tell you that much. This is, by the way, if you can't tell, after patch footage. If you got it on release day, you'll know it was barely playable. I'm not one of the people that complains about frame rates a whole lot, but it was so bad it was like hurting my eyes. I don't say that lightly. It was literally hurting me to play. But the patch has actually sort of helped a lot. And I mean, you can be the judge for yourself. It's not perfect. You can sort of tell. A lot of that has to do, in my opinion, with the animations. This is another fun one, which are, you know, the walking there, you can see looks sort of goofy. Turns out this boat was fake news, so fell to the water. The animations are not all that great. You can see the grappling hook there. I have like watchtowers. There's none of that footage in this, but that's a little goofy. Anime, the horse riding, which you'll see plenty of in this video if you watch the gameplay in the background. The horses they're fucking mental, dude. They're crazy. And I probably should have let off with this one. If mine is not the first video you've seen, the general reaction that I've seen from pretty much just about everybody has been that this game is, as a lot of my good friends in Britain say, utter shite. I've heard that thrown around quite a lot. I believe Jim Sterling referred to it as a bucket of piss. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I know it's not very flattering. This game is going to be more alienating than Dynasty Warriors 6. I can tell you that much right now. If nothing else, for the voice acting, if you've been able to hear, I have on the Chinese voice actors because the English voice actors were so fucking bad it was hurting my feelings, to be honest with you, dude. I'm not one to crush dreams, but if you happen to be one of the, I'm sure, fine people that worked on this game, you have no talent, son. Or ladies, I'm sorry. You're fucking awful. I'm like only half kidding. I'm only half kidding. I recommend that you do not play this game with English on whatsoever. I mean, obviously you want the text. I've seen this, and this is a very legitimate complaint, by the way. I've never had this issue. I've been reading as like a hobby since I was a toddler, right? So the words coming up on the screen are a distraction or whatever, that's never been an issue, because I'm bam, 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 genetic superhuman, left, right, let's go. They could type me up a fucking essay. I'd be able to read that and play at the same time. I've never had that issue. If you're one of those people that have that issue, my video is probably not for you, because I couldn't tell you. I would certainly say that the lack of good English voice acting will have a negative influence on that specifically. I don't like it, the English voice acting, period. I do not play with it on, because it just makes me mad, to be honest with you. It is that poor. It is that poor. Koei, for allowing that shit, if I was a nun, I would smack the shit out of your knuckles with a ruler. You've earned it. You've earned it. On the combat, you'll see in this video, all the press and whatever said that they were reinventing, reinvigorating, redistributing, something another, whatever, the combat in Dynasty Warriors. Of course, most people would say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The combat has not been complicated at all. As a matter of fact, I think this is the one that upsets me the most. I feel that the combat, this is the collection ship, by the way. They just have huge boxes out in the woods in certain areas. You can get loot from it. The crafting system is so-so, by the way. I don't really even pay attention to it. It's there. Don't hunt, don't fish, don't do none of that shit. It's just boring and it's a waste of your time. You'll make me mad if you fucking hunt and fish in this game, to be honest. Let's see. What was I on? The combat. It has been dumbed down to the nth degree, my dude. It really has. Instead of... I thought that the heavy attack, or the light and heavy attack, and the combos that came off from that before, the EX attacks that were introduced in Dynasty Warriors 7, I thought those were great. The combat in Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8 were both very similar, and they were by far and away my favorite out of the entirety of the series. Dynasty Warriors 9 is definitely a step down. I have not played as a lot of the characters, to be honest with you, because I'm still trying to unlock a great deal of them. Well, not a great deal. I have like probably around 15 or so left to get. I've made it pretty far. The clones do not really have that big of an impact on the combat because you play every character the same way. Literally. You just spam the R1B, R1 triangle attacks. I mean, you'll see me do this constantly throughout this. And stun lock the opponents to death, pretty much. The challenge in this game is it's basically non-existent. I'm playing on normal. I've seen people say that even when you bump it up to the harder difficulties, that it doesn't make all that much of a difference. To be honest with you, I believe them. I don't know. The enemies, a lot of times they don't even fight back. I don't know. I know that there's a very large section of fans left that play Dynasty Warriors, and what they like to do is they like to bump it up to Chaos, and they like to tackle it. When Dynasty Warriors 7, Dynasty Warriors 8, at least to me, I'm sure you say, oh, well, you're a scrub, but Chaos for me was actually substantially difficult. I would say very difficult for myself, how I play. So if that's how you enjoy Dynasty Warriors, this one probably won't be for you. Next up on the docket here are characters. The animations are actually a really big takeaway on the characters. The clone weapon sets are a really big takeaway on the characters. As it turns out, I've been playing a lot of the older Dynasty Warriors because I was so excited for Dynasty Warriors 9. And it occurred to me just how, not Dynasty Warriors 6 necessarily, but it occurred to me how much of a character's moveset was involved in how much I liked a character or not. Zushu in Dynasty Warriors 8 was by far and away my favorite character. Especially with Shu, hands down. Because I thought that sword and hook was off the chain cool. That's right, I said off the chain. But because every character plays the same way, and because the story plays out largely in the exact same way, regardless of who you're playing as, it takes a lot of the enjoyment of the characters out of it. That's behind the dumbed down the combat. That's been my biggest concern by far. I think the characters look dope. They all have neat outfits. I mean, I'm trying to think about some that suck. I don't know. I don't really know. I think they're all pretty dope. That was one of the things that actually I was the most excited about. Dynasty Warriors 9. I was constantly going back every week, checking them new characters as they was coming out. They look dope. I like how the screens move if you'll watch when the character is talking, like on the left. You see actual movement going on. That's neat. That's something that they should have had always, basically. That's neat. It's just it's the little things. The characters are all, yeah, they're pretty sweet. I don't know. You let me know. I'm still trying to rack my brain here, trying to recollect them all. But it does look actually a little lame. Just a little bit. The poor I mean, seriously, it's a compound deal here. The fucking wonky animations. Nobody with a cape is doing good on them horses. I'll tell you that right now. The weapon clones, like I said, that in the end they make all the difference, but they make very little difference because every character plays the same. As for fun factor, let's just get into the meat and fucking potatoes of this. Is it a good game or not? I've enjoyed it. Like I said, actually I may not have said it, but I've played this shit for about 16 or so hours at this point. Almost 16 hours, I think. Maybe a little over. And I've had a lot of fun. The way that I've always played Dynasty Warriors, I am admittedly somebody with a very active mind And at the end of the day, it can be very hard for me to calm down, relax, and get ready to go to sleep for the day. And Dynasty Warriors has always been something that I could casually play, have a lot of fun, entertain me, and so on and such forth. I've never tackled it like I would, you know, just for example, Rainbow Six Siege, where I'm very heavily concentrated and I'm just dialed in and whatnot. That's just not how I play Dynasty Warriors. I'll sit and I'll listen to some YouTube videos or whatever while I play Dynasty Warriors. Now, because Dynasty Warriors 9 is fairly new and I wanted to do this review for you guys, I have paid a lot more attention than I normally would. I know that sounds weird, but you know, it's true. And this game is perfect for how I enjoy Dynasty Warriors. I don't know if, because the open world shit is a little tedious. The characters playing the same is a little worrisome. The personalities of the characters have generally not been enough. I still tend to gravitate towards movesets. I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun. Almost everybody I've seen one dude, ironically, he worked for IGN, who said it was the greatest Dynasty Warriors game ever. And I don't know about that shit, because I can say this. I think subjectively, for me, definitely, but I think you could probably even make the argument that objectively, Dynasty Warriors 8 was a better game than this. Dynasty Warriors 8 XL Complete Edition, definitely. The game, for one that is released in 2018, is just not very visually appealing, in my opinion. I mean, Shadow of the Colossus came out recently. You compare Dynasty Warriors to that, also an open world game, by the way. I don't know. A lot of people I've seen throw around the word lazy when they're describing Koei's latest fucking venture here. Can't very well disagree with them. I feel like definitely there were some shortcuts taken in how they approach things or whatnot. At the very least, weapon clones isn't nearly as big of an issue as what most people assumed it was going to be. I know that I was upset about it. Most people I seen were upset about it. I didn't see anybody happy about it. Most people that weren't just overly negative were like, well, maybe it won't be as bad as we think it will. It's about the nicest thing that I had seen regarding the weapon clones. But to be fair, it hasn't really made all that much of a difference. The game has a lot of length to it. Sadly, one of my issues is that, you know, if you're looking at the screen here, this is the Chang Bond section of the shoe story. And as Liu Bei, I'm doing all of Zhao Yun shit, you know, where he goes and rescues the baby and all that. There is no specific from what I've experienced, there aren't any specific actions. Okay, fuck that. Your perspective doesn't change depending on what character you're playing. Playing as Liu Bei here, when you get to the chibi level, they talk about you like you're not even fucking there. Whenever Zhuge Liang is talking to all of the people from Blue or whatnot, and Liu Bei is literally standing right there, they talk about him like he's not even fucking there. Wish I had footage of it. I thought it was weird at the time, but I didn't record that particular instance. If you have the game yourself and have played through that area, you'll know what I'm talking about. As for that, I think it sucks. One of the things that I thought was, see, I thought that's because they were returning the every character goes through their own story thing and every character gets their own ending and whatnot. I thought because of that it would mean that the story, even though this is actually what I was terrified of, because I thought that it would make the chapters redundant, and in a way, unfortunately, I'm afraid that it will, because you get the same objectives every time, regardless of what character you're playing as, and these are very long levels. So, I don't know. As you can see, the open world part is what extends it by quite a bit here, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe the other characters are enough to make it unique every time, but I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. Okay. Let's see. Have we covered everything on the docket? Absolutely. To conclude, my final thoughts. The open world does more harm than good. The animations are wonky, especially, it's not exactly what you expect out of a 2018 game. I know current year argument, but it's true. The voiceover is abysmal if you listen to the English. I can't exactly understand Chinese or Japanese, which are your other two options, but they are a lot more pleasing on the ears than whatever that shit is. The combat has been dumbed down to almost insulting level. In my opinion, definitely a step back from the previous iterations. It's their answer to spam was to make it more spammy. I don't know. I don't like that shit. The characters, I like them aesthetically. The movesets, which I consider to be a big part of what makes the characters stand out, what makes you want to play as them, has no large influence whatsoever because all characters play the same. Sadly, that is a big negative. But for me, I like the mission level, the mission approach where you have different objectives. It is shitty that the objectives don't change depending on what character you're playing as. If you play as like Zhang Liao, for example, you do not, I do not think you can start during his time under Dong Zhuo, nor can you do his time under Lu Bu, I don't think. I can't say that definitively. I'll have to check. But I do know that you unlock him at like chapter 4 or some shit like that, and that's after all that's over and done with. And generally which chapter you unlock the characters at determines which character or what time period they start as a character. So even though Zhang Liao appeared earlier, you cannot play as him in those earlier stages. So I don't know, but you can play as like Lu Bu and Dong Zhuo and Lu Lin Qi, Qin Gong. I don't think you can play as Qin Gong during his time under Cao Cao. Fun little glitch there. Here's me showing off the upgrade system, by the way. You pick which stats you want to level up. So, I don't know. That's neat. It makes no major difference. To be honest with you, I don't know. Maybe on the higher difficulties, it makes more of a difference. Like I said, I don't know. I don't want to particularly play on those higher difficulties. Not how I enjoy the game. I understand a lot of people, that's how they enjoy the game. You'll have to get back to me. Type me up a fucking essay. I'll read it, I'll type you up an essay back. Fucking, we'll have comp 2 in my comment section. I have no issue with that. I want your thoughts on this. And I'm being dead serious. I really do. Because I've loved this series since I was a kid. And when Dynasty Warriors 6 came out, it split that fucking fan base. A lot of long-time Dynasty Warriors fans were just downright offended and swore off the series. I've seen you out there. I like that game. I did. Then Dynasty Warriors 7, the weapon clones were back again. People said, you know what, fuck it, I'm done forever. Dynasty Warriors 8 came out, brought a lot of people back. Now with this Dynasty Warriors 9, I'm thinking this is going to divide the community. A lot of the reviews, I hopped on Metacritic. I did. And one interview that I was particularly fond of that had been translated from Chinese, I do believe, said that this game was like a rough stone and an ultimate failure. I believe is what it translated to. And now you got to keep in mind when you read those reviews, they played it with that shitty frame rate, the one that hurt your eyes before the patch. So I would keep that in mind, as like I said, all the footage that you're seeing here is after the patch. So it's a lot better. By the way, you'll see all the black screen shit if you're still here. All the black screen stuff is not something that I did. That's just how the game is set up. I don't know why it boxes itself in like that. Certainly that was nothing that I did intentionally anyway, but I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. But I'm out of things to say. I'm thirsty. I'm parched. I'm exhausted. I wanted to get this out for you. Ultimate opinion of the game. I don't give star ratings, but to maybe help form an image of your mind, give you a rough whereabout of how I would place it, I would give this 2 chicken bones out of 69. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not joking with you. Take that however you will. I recommend this game to Dynasty Warriors fans who enjoy the game the same way that I do. If you are one of the type of people that like to bump up the difficulty and play it that way, I do not think that you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of this. For people that like to just slam out levels or whatnot, I've recorded this video several times, so I can't remember if I told this story or not, but I played Dynasty Warriors 5 the other day, and I just thought, fuck it, I'll have me a speed run. I beat Wubu's campaign on easy, not novice, but on easy, in 9 minutes and 48 seconds. You can't do that shit in this game. You're in for the long haul when you play this, and the open world has contributed to that quite a bit. But I'm going to stop rambling. It's a decent game. Do not believe everybody's hysterical. Alright, it's not the greatest game ever. It's not the worst game ever. It's just, it is what it is. And hopefully I've helped you understand what it is. I'm out, people. Thank you for watching. Hey, listen, even, obviously they won't know it, but even if you just clicked on my shit to just dislike it and leave, I appreciate you. The fact that anybody cares enough about my opinion to want to watch this shit even after all this time, it makes me happy. I appreciate it. I'm gonna bounce out. What you're about to see is my only death. I wanted to include it because I knew that I'd be shitting on the difficulty of the game. It can happen. You are about to watch me get utterly dominated by a little girl with a chain. So there you go. There you go. I'll talk to you later, people. See you.
那头野兽的女儿吧？没想到你居然会出现在战场上。在洛阳的时候，你不是一直独自躲在家里吗？
今非昔比，如今我是吕布军的将领。
这样啊，那你也是本小姐的敌人了。本小姐要在此为爷爷报仇。
即使敌人是旧时，我也不会手下留情。受死吧！啊！